Hey, Jeremy.
Hey, how are ya?
I'm loving your stuffy in the background. Is that real or AI?
That is real. One day that'll be AI, but that is Morty from Rick and Morty. My kids know I'm a big fan of the show. Thankfully, they don't know what the show's about. But they bought me that as well as a Rick mask for Halloween a couple of years ago. Sorry, my eyes are a little close there.
Oh, no, that's super cute. Well, I'm going to do a quick intro and then I'll turn it over for your intro. Does that sound good?
Awesome. Yeah.
And everyone who's joining remotely, please comment where you're joining from. So, welcome to episode 42, where founder Design Thinking's goal is now pivoting to advise on hashtag AI video. I love mapping users, people, companies like Jeremy into the AI landscape and also analyzing profitable companies and investors. I just launched my Substack, so that's scrolling at the bottom. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. And Jeremy, your turn.
Hi there. I'm Jeremy Toeman. I'm the founder and CEO of a startup called AugX Labs. We are an AI video assistant. We're basically helping turn everybody into their own video storytellers. And our vision is to help anyone in business, whether it's an individual on Substack and StreamYard, all the way up to marketing teams at large companies. Everybody I talk to knows they have to make more video to keep up with social demand, and it costs too much and it's too time consuming. And so we built Augie to try to automate about 80% of the grunt work of video editing, creation, and storytelling. So that's what we're all about. We're all about the AI video.
Awesome. And I know you're creating a video for us as we speak. Is that
I,
right?
I am. I was worried about how much time we'd have on the live stream, so I just sort of hit the cue button. It takes about 90 seconds or maybe 2 minutes to make a video in our platform. So I did that just before we started to use the analogy if we were watching a cooking show. I've stirred the ingredients, but we haven't actually, taken it out of the oven or cut it up or anything yet.
Yeah, I think that's very terrifying for a lot of founders, but not for you to do a live demo because, in my experience, all my live demos have tech problems and you're so comfortable with it. Tell me about that.
When I was about 30 years old, I was at a startup called Sling Media building a product called the Sling Box. It was an actual physical device that let you stream TV over the internet, pre-YouTube, pre-Netflix, pre-StreamYard, etc. And when I was at the opportunity to do a live demo at a developer event with 1,000 people in the room, no joke, and it was myself and the CEO of the publicly traded company whose technologies we were using. And he was introducing me, and in the middle of my demo, he accidentally touched the product in like a weak spot and literally snapped the cable off. And I'm there on stage and I'm watching on screen as just everything, and all I can think is, this is this guy's important day far more than it's my. I mean, it was huge for me, but I was sort of like, I don't know, I was an empath at the moment, and I was like, I'm just going to do everything I can to make sure he doesn't look bad. And so I very quickly moved on my feet to, well, we're a startup and that was a demo, and sometimes those things don't work out. But what you would have seen me do next is blah, blah, blah. And thankfully, it was near the end of the demo and we got great applause and everybody loved it because the product really did work. And I guess that's my segue into this one. My product really does work. And so I'm not scared of a live demo because even if it gets some of the predictions wrong, you'll see how quickly you can recover as a user. Because what our key value for people, so anyone watching, is it's not necessarily that we make video editing. I mean, I think we make it a lot easier than other tools, but what we're doing for our users is giving them sort of a starting point, right? It's the hardest thing is a blank canvas, right? If I were to say, go paint, it's like, what am I going to paint, right? We're saying we're almost like color by numbers in a way, is a way to think about it. We want to give you all the tools you'll need and just the simplest point and click kind of work to do the editing. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think this podcast is for the fearless, people who do live demos like yourself. And I ask hard questions not to trip you up. I think Lisa said in the podcast last week, like, that's how I find meaning. is by the challenges. So let's do it.
All right.
Let's do the demo.
Here we go. Okay, share screen. And how's this look? This look okay?
I'm adding it to the stage, changing the format. Getting us on the side. Let's do it.
Okay, so right before this call, I gave Augie a prompt. So let me show you a little bit of our product. So it's really easy to make video. Now, a lot of our users might have, say, a webcam recording like this one, and what they want to do is make themselves like John Oliver, do like a cool picture-in-picture effect. If that's your case, you can upload your video, and you'll see in like one click, you get picture-in-picture effects. And what we do is we preload what the images might have been. The second scenario is where you have a script. You already have maybe a product description or a marketing pitch or an HR story, whatever you're doing that you want to make into a video. And then the last one is for our users who have nothing to start. And this is really where a lot of our users come in, is maybe they're entrepreneurs or self-starters or have a side hustle or something. But most people aren't video marketers, right? Most people don't even know what they should be doing with video. And so what we try to do is make it easy to even understand some of the options you might have. Are you educating a user? Are you trying to drive traffic, right? There's so many different types of videos that get created. And so what I had Augie do is make us a video on how to host a Thanksgiving dinner. So that's our starting point. So we're going to go take a look at what Augie has done. And so we give a user what we call the rough cut report, where we tell you it's a 50-second-ish video. We've got 16 distinct shots. Now, if you had to use a traditional video editing tool, this is about 1.5 hours of work based on sort of standard editing times. We know a lot about the space. And then one of the things we're really trying to do for our users is again, help them, right? And so we're not saying, oh, this is perfect. You can go, we've done the perfect thing through AI. We're actually telling you, no, actually the matches might not be perfect. You're going to spend a little bit of time in this. But considering, again, we've only put 2 minutes into this so far, to be able to start and finish with an entire video in under 20 is still pretty interesting accomplishment in this space. The average editing time starts at 1 hour per minute. So let's take a look. Now, again, the prompt I gave it was make me a Thanksgiving video. So we're going to start by just watching a preview of what it did. So this is the Augie interface. Down here, you have the timeline or storyboard, and my eyes are telling me this looks Thanksgiving-ish. Up here, you have an editing pane where you can make alternate content choices if you want to. And then now one of the things I've done is I'm on portrait, so I'm just going to skip that back to landscape. But anyhow, let's take a look at the suggested content.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our guide on hosting a Thanksgiving dinner. Today, we embark on a mouth-watering journey to demystify the art of creating a memorable feast that will leave your loved ones in awe. Picture this. Savory turkeys that make taste buds dance, decadent sides that teleport you to flavor paradise, vibrant atmosphere brimming with gratitude and laughter.
All right, so I'm going to pause this there. We don't need to watch all this, but I would say it got, as I was sort of hinting at, it got the gist of it pretty well, but it's not really ready for prime time. It's got a few things that we need to go back and tweak. So again, let's look at what I have to do as a user. I don't have to start by thinking up my storyboard or thinking up what comes first. I can just react to it and say, well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I want to do is I want this to actually be, I'm going to do the word welcome. And yes, I do a lot of demos here, so you'll see I find lots of different clips. But, maybe welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, look at this. This to me represents the beginning of a Thanksgiving video, right?
Oh, and Jeremy, I'm going to interrupt you. So
sure.
In the audience, what would you like Jeremy to put in his video? So comment any words or phrases or any ideas into the chat, please. Go ahead,
That's
Jeremy.
a great idea. All right, I will take on again any live challenges. So, so if you see something that I'm not choosing, you're welcome to point that one out, and then I'll try to get it in. Now, so let's take a look. Again, I started over. So,
gentlemen, to our guide.
Now, what our AI does is, as you might have noticed, that we listen to the cadence of the speaker's voice and automatically create segments for you. Now, I found in this one, it sort of got it right, but it felt a little rushed. So I'm going to go click over here on transcript, and you can see we've auto-generated the transcript of the entire video. Now, what we do in our software, and that tries to make it, again, easy for someone who's never, ever used video editing tools before, is instead of showing like lots of timeline views and confusing things, we just show the user the words they spoke. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this green line corresponds to how long this slot is. So you see, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our guide on hosting. I want to make this all one long slot. So I'm just going to drag it all the way over to the end of dinner. Now it's detecting that I have to choose from. I want this first one. And so now let's see the difference that made on the video.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our guide on hosting a Thanksgiving dinner. Today, we embark on a mouth-watering journey to...
Right, it already sort of gets us down that path a little better. And now I can come to the point and say, okay, but, for this thing, it's talking about mouth-watering, right? So I want to say, I'm going to just say turkey, and let's see what we get. And so this is part of the fun of it at this point. Well, I'm getting stuff probably about the country as well, because I know there's a famous festival there. So I'll just switch this to actually Thanksgiving and see what I get instead. And that sort of hits my mouth-watering Thanksgiving kind of message. By the way, I also could be uploading my own content. So you see what I'm doing here? This is all stock content. We have a partnership with Getty Images that gets us commercially licensed content. So our users, who are often marketers, can take this content into professional settings. It's not just for internal use, but you actually have promotional use of this content, which really helps our users a lot, because now we do sort of the sourcing, the rights clearance, and the editing all in the same place. So that said, most videos that our users are making aren't entirely comprised of stock content. It's nice that you can do storytelling this way. And actually, there's a lot of people doing what's called faceless or headless YouTube videos, where it's just like this. It's just stock content going over each other. Now, what they would probably do is do something like they'd have subtitles on. We call it closed captioning here. And they'd probably have one of those like, TikTok style effects, maybe, where they're different colored words. Or let's try hollow. That's kind of funky. This is pretty hard to read, though, so I'm not going to actually go ahead with it. But, if I was trying to do something a little funky, a little different, I can align it easily. Again, we will eventually give the users lots more choices as to what they'll control. But part of the point of it right now is just to make it so easy that you don't even have to really think about, how to do any of these things. So let's do one more thing. Let's add a little music to it. Let's add this folk music. That seems about right. Let's go back to the beginning and watch this. I'm also going to give it a little more of a kind of a vivid feel, that sort of Thanksgiving look. Now let's see what we've done in our little bit of time here.
Ladies and gentlemen, to our guide on hosting a Thanksgiving dinner. Today, we embark on a mouth-watering journey to demystify the art of creating a memorable feast that will leave your loved ones in awe. Picture this.
So that's a quick flare on Augie, how to host Thanksgiving. By the way, I could have thing as a portrait mode video, and you can see that we actually will try to use AI to center on the right thing. We're still working on improving that algorithm, but the point is the same tool that you output for both YouTube or TikTok, LinkedIn, etc. So that's our first video. I want to just pause to see if there's any questions or suggestions.
Yeah, everyone, please comment in the chat. Thanks, Humphrey, for your comment. And I'll ask a question. So, in video.ai and some other AI video editing tools, they rank the virality. So you've got a hook, because you were saying like, how do you make a great Thanksgiving dinner? But you haven't showed us the reveal. So I want to know, like, can you go to that part where it's like, this is the secret?
Oh, we've got to find the actual answer. All right, let's keep on going.
Nice, and a vibrant atmosphere brimming with gratitude and laughter. We'll divulge all the secrets, tips, and tricks.
Well, actually, you recall this is a promotional video for a guide.
From classic recipes with a modern twist to efficient planning techniques, our mission is simple: to equip you with culinary prowess and inspire unforgettable memories. So grab your aprons and let's turn your dinner table into a Thanksgiving wonderland. Get ready to wow your guests and savor every delectable moment. Excitement awaits, my friends. Let's dive into the deliciousness that is hosting a Thanksgiving dinner.
Got it. So this is all hook. I think there are some rumblings about planning advice.
Well, remember we generate the script based on what the user prompted. So in my case, I actually gave a prompt about a promotional video. So if I had asked to be informed or teach me how to host a Thanksgiving dinner, it probably would have given me something very different. I wanted to show off a couple other little things that we get some questions about. One of them was, we have introduced a feature in our system that lets our users basically browse their uploaded video by keyword. So I'm going to go over here to my library and I'm going to go to video. Oops. I've been doing a lot of demos, as you can see. Oh, that's an interesting new bug there. There we go. Video. And I'm going to go just something from the past week. Okay. And so a couple of years ago for Thanksgiving, I went as BB-8. And so this is that clip.
Dad.
And so what we've added to Augie is the ability to find something in your video. So I really want to get a bit of my kids laughing inside my output video here. I'm telling a funny Halloween story. So I'm going to type in kids laughing and hit search. And this, by the way, this is brand new to Augie. So there's a lot of work we're yet to do on the user experience. But what you'll see here is this is looked through my uploaded video, found a point where there's kids laughing, and now I can save that clip to use in all the rest of the videos I create. So we call it Magic Find because it really does work like magic. There we have it. And you can search by any term, color, action, noun, verb, whatever you might want. But what it really lets you do is if you're trying to make videos where it's a combination of kind of storytelling and your personal narrative.
Are you ready to take your Halloween game to the next level? Dive into the world of creating unforgettable costumes that will leave
adorable.
everyone in awe. Unleash your creativity.
Right. So the point of it isn't just stock stuff, of course, but it's how we can make the best story with AI, right? And so that's a bit of what we do. Obviously, there's a lot more to our product I'd be happy to show, but I think we should get back to the chat. Unless you want to see more, I leave it up to the audience.
Yeah, comment your questions, but I want to talk a little bit about the fearlessness, right? So when people create videos, they're like, I don't want to show my face. And that's what you highlighted about the headless video, that you don't have to show your face. And in fact, you don't even have to show your voice. It's just a script.
That's exactly right. The way we look at it is, every individual has different needs, right? Companies have promotional needs. Myself as me, the entrepreneur, myself as me, the dad, right? We have different kinds of needs, right? My local town is having a vote today. I made a quick promotional video for, explaining the aspects of the vote to folks. I was able to do it in 15 minutes using our tool. I look like a hero for the town, right? But I would never have thought I could do such a thing, right? And part of our vision is how do we empower everybody to become their own visual storyteller, right? Where you can think of making a video the same way you don't think before you text someone or write an email. If you need to make a spreadsheet, you just go to Sheets and make a balance sheet or whatever, right? You need to give a presentation. You can make a presentation in minutes. Everybody can do these things, better and worse, sure. But when it comes to video, all of a sudden it's like just the chosen few have the capabilities. We think that if you're in business, video creation should be just as convenient to you as an individual as it is to my 16-year-old on TikTok.
Absolutely. And I think that also viewers, creators are afraid of it looking too much like stock. And so then they want to bring in all of their previous videos. And the point I want to make is that you all have previous videos. It's not like you're starting from zero. And a lot of brands think that they have to create original content and spend all this money, but you're giving brands the opportunity to go back to years of archive, right?
That's exactly right. Let's face it, a lot of the content people create is truly valuable content. And I mean, look, I've been in the content creation space my entire career, working with creators at every level. And some content is to be treasured for the content itself, right? That's where it is the entertainment value. Maybe it's for educational use or informative use. And then there's promotional content where the goal really, like a video to promote your podcast, a video to promote your Substack, right? These will help you do your job. Does that video have entertainment value? Not really. It's in a way, and I don't mean this as a pejorative, but in a way, this is like disposable content. It's here to serve a need, it's not the need, right? The video is the vehicle to the subscriber, to the sale, to the click, to the link, to the whatever. So we look at it as we need to empower you where you can solve that need, not through hiring super expensive folks. Again, if you need high quality entertainment value content, go hire great video producers. They're amazing what they can do. But if you just need to get the word out about something, right? The average person can't afford to hire those kind of teams. I mean, I wish we all could.
So then what are the main fears? One is, having to show your face, which you solved with stock. The second one is, feeling inauthentic, which you solved with access to the archive. What are like the main barriers to becoming a creator?
I think these days, first, there's just a general lack of realization. Whether you use Augie or, there's so many AI content creator tools for video, for storytelling, for presentation. So, as much as obviously we want the users, but try them all, right? Go figure out what works for you. What I would say is like use the right word. This is the time to be fearless, right? Every time I talk to my friends, especially the ones who aren't as pro tech as I might be, I'm like, how are you using ChatGPT in your work, buddy? And they're like, oh, I haven't quite figured that out. I'm like, really? What's something you had to do today? And I'm like, go type this in, right? Like, I think you should be thinking of video that way too, right? I'd love for you to try our product, but I'd love for you to try the others too and figure out how do you get that story out there, and to your point, whether it's your face or an avatar, right? There's cool things like Synthesia and HeyGen where you can be anybody, right? And you don't have to be that you. And I think we're going to see a lot more creative options. We're working on some stuff as well where we want people to be able to do storytelling as who they want to be, right?
As the aspirational.
Yeah.
Got it. Very cool. Well, comment questions, but I'll keep asking. So I'm sure your product started differently than where it is now. And Founder Design Thinking's podcast has always been about pivots based on users. So what's been the most surprising user feedback or pivot that you've made?
It happened a while ago. You're dead on right. The vision of simplifying video has always been part of it, but the very specific thing we started on, so one of my co-founders and I were making a podcast, and it was just for fun. It was during the pandemic. We were talking about movies. We had a blast. That was like a highlight of my week every week. And we were looking like, how do we grow a little bit? We're putting some effort in. How do we grow? And we kept reading article after article. It's like, you should make a video promo for your podcast. The best way to get new subscribers is, and this is again about 2.5 years ago, was YouTube and TikTok. I think it's changed now. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. Well, I have access to Adobe Creative Cloud. I'm going to go take some self-paced tutorials. I'm going to learn how to use Premiere Pro. And I learned two things, which is one, in 40 hours, I was not going to learn Adobe Premiere Pro. It is a very powerful tool that is super, super impressive. But for me, it was like trying to learn how to fly a helicopter to get to the corner store. Like I just wasn't, it's what Chris Nolan uses, right? And I don't think I get the right to call him Chris, right? But I recognize, like, why is there not a tool just to help me with this basic problem? And so I was working in AI stuff at Warner Media at the time, and I started really just thinking about like what, by the way, I was on my way to making a change that October. And so as I was leaving, I was starting to think, like, what do I want to do? Right. And I started thinking more and more, like, why was that so hard? What did I really want? And I kept thinking, and I was like, I want to make a tool that lets podcasters, just podcasters, make videos for their podcast using AI that uses internet content that's licensable to auto put together a story for their podcast to help them get more subscribers. So we were very, very focused on that. And then when I say we pivoted early, it's basically by the time I was out fundraising, people were just like, I would use this for my webinar, and I would use this for my company, and I would use this for my speech, and I would use this. And I was like, oh, interesting. So we recognized quickly that it wasn't just help podcasters, but it was help anyone in business. And then I think the second thing we recognized is you shouldn't have to have already recorded audio, right?
Mm-hmm.
Started off where you were coming with your MP3 of your narrative or whatever you had, and we realized that this was a huge barrier, right? And now that happened at the same time as all the AI voice explosions started to occur. We're like, oh, we can actually give users a great option here. And so we, mashed up all the tech together, built our own little special sauce on top of it, and made that work. So from video storytelling for podcasters to what we aspire to be the tool in between iMovie and Final Cut Pro, if you will, is that the thing that more than like the cool trailers. By the way, I love iMovie, but it doesn't try to solve that business need.
So let me just confirm with you. So you started out with expecting the creator to have their own original voiceover.
That's right.
And that was too embarrassing or hard. So then you switched over to a script, like the script.
Well, it wasn't necessarily embarrassing or hard. It was just, look, I'm a product guy by nature. My whole career has been building products. And so to me, you're always looking, what's the friction point? When do users stop trying to do your thing? Right. And one of the things we noticed was the moment we forced you to upload an MP3 file. Yeah. And so we started thinking, okay, how do we get around that? How do we make that easier? So the first thing we did, we built a recorder. We actually built an inline recorder. Record your own script right here, right now. And then right after that was about when ChatGPT launched and OpenAI made the whole platform accessible. We said, oh, well, actually, let's build a thing where we'll write the script for you. And so we started building that, but you still had to record it yourself. And then right after we finished that was when the AI voice technologies all started to become magically available. So we went out and partnered with 11 Labs and used their stuff. And then AI voice cloning started becoming a thing. So we started doing that thing. So what we've been doing historically is every time we try to make it easier for users, we recognize that, I think it's sort of what, to your point, it's not necessarily about things like embarrassment, although that's certainly a factor, but it's more about how do we just find those points of friction? What went wrong on the user journey that we could solve for?
Got it. So people just kind of dropped off when they had to upload their voiceover.
Each time, wherever we extended that runway, that point, and then the moment we put AI voices in, that drop off disappeared. Obviously, every product there's other drop off points, but the success rate of users starting and completing Augies went skyrocketing at that point.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And then all those new personas, do they have different jobs to be done? So does a marketer have a feature that they use that podcasters don't?
It's a great question. And I'm going to sort of give you like kind of a yes and a no. So here's where they're different, here's where they're the same. The different are maybe what they come to the table with. So a podcaster will always come to the table with audio. A marketer might come with anything. They might have a pre-recorded video, like the me or whatever, right? They might have a pre-recorded audio of someone in the company, or they might have a script with an AI voice, or they might have just a prompt. So, marketers sort of use all of our stuff differently. We do actually have a lot of interest, like different kinds of storytellers. So the script with AI voice thing is a pretty common link that we're seeing. Like we have people who are making weekly content using Augie for that kind of a purpose. Where they're all the exact same is the common need of that initial storyboard. So when we ask our users, the best thing that we do for them is the storyboard. It's I even had a user email me. They said, literally, I replaced every single image you proposed. And I don't care at all because I know that if I was on my own, I never, ever would have even done it. Right. And so that's how we know we're on this right track. Like, I don't care if we're not able to perfectly predict every clip for, first of all, humans have a role, and we're going to for a while.
I hope
And
so.
Yeah, and second of all, like, don't you want it to be a bit your touch, right? Like, I have a weird analogy, which is, the Betty Crocker brownie mix that you can buy, and just add water and an egg and you're all done, right? When those first launched to the public in the 40s and 50s, now again, I'm not commenting on the time period, but it was a very different time. The primary demographic was housewives, and the very first version, all you had to add was water, and it got rejected
Really?
because the women who were looking at it as a make their lives easier, it made it so easy they felt they weren't doing anything. So they added in the step of needing an egg, because chemically they could have done that without the egg, right? So they require the egg just because they found it gave people the satisfaction just by cracking an egg and stirring that they did something. And so one of my theses of Augie is, I don't ever want to give you a perfect video the first time. I want to get you really close, but enough that you want your own touch on it, right? I want your video to be a little different than my video. And even if AI can predict all that too, which I'm sure it can, I still want that. Like, I want to give people the ability to kind of get hands-on a little bit, just to have that satisfaction that they produce something.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because when I worked in machine learning at Capital One, the human in the loop was such a big part of training the model. Like, we loved when data scientists were like, that's wrong. Like, a human would never do that. And
Right.
So the last episode, 2 episodes ago with James, the founder at Conote.ai, he was saying that researchers are really against AI transcriptions and analysis of interviews, but some start using his product and they're like, oh, your product does everything, I'm just going to walk away. And he's like, no, we don't want that either. Like, we want that middle where you're involved, but the AI does the tedious, repetitive work that humans just don't want to do.
That if you recall, when I showed you the demo, we had the rough cut report. We actually require the user to see it before they can download their video. And that's also for basically the reason you just said. We want you to see that we're telling you this is not 100%, right? This is an incomplete work of art or whatever, right? Of something. Because we want to create that sort of interaction model that, we actually, even when you start to make a video, if you use our prompt-based system, there's 2 different times where you have a checkbox to say, I've listened to my preview. And what we found is by forcing users to do that, they caught more errors. They realized, like, oh, the AI script actually got something wrong, right? And so we're trying to sort of teach them how to fish in a way, in a good way, is like, we don't want you to rush to it, right? We want you to slow down a second, check it all out.
Yeah, because then the worst is after you publish and someone comments like, well, why did you do that? You read it and you're like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. So that is the worst, right?
Yeah. Oops, I didn't listen,
Okay. Well, we're probably going to talk for 5 minutes, 10 minutes max. So anyone who has questions and who are shy or fearful, you got to get your questions in right now. So the last question for you, Jeremy, is this AI video landscape. So not talking about like images, not talking about voice only, like talking about AI specifically. How do you map the profitability, the investors, other companies, influencers? Like, what does that map look like in your head?
That I don't think we can't handle all of that in 5 minutes, but we can certainly get it a job. I think the starting point, that if I were to say, like, from like a Maslow perspective, the most important thing I think for people to walk away with is what does AI video sort of mean? Because I'll give you 3 completely different definitions that I think help people a lot. First is generative video. Generative video is specifically prompt. I would like to see a man on the beach walking his dog, right, at sunset from a drone's perspective, et cetera. That's companies like Runway, Flicka, Kyber, and a couple of others. And so they generate the scene you're describing. Technology is phenomenal. It's not ready for prime time from a true go to market, like I want a clip, I want a clip, I want a clip. You can massage it to get to where you need, but like watch these guys because it's great tech. And as it gets closer, we're going to be integrating ourselves. The second category is I don't really know the term for this. It's sort of generative art videos. You're probably seeing a lot of these, like the Marvel Secret Invasion TV show used them, where there's this high amount of dithering kind of effect, as what it's doing is it's actually generating or attempting to generate 30 frames per second of AI art, one after another. So there's a lot of these things coming together. A lot of them are sort of homegrown still today, where the user has to do a lot of work. And then the third one is tools that assemble AI videos or make video editing easier through AI. And that's sort of where we fall in, where this is where now where we see a little different from most is we are an AI video creator in the way our system works. But what I think a lot of this category does is just sort of similar vision to us, is we want to make it easier for people who have, maybe they have a starting point, maybe they don't, maybe they have a script, maybe they have B-roll or an interview or something. They just want to do more with it. I think in that area, there's, again, a lot of different startups doing things, but you can see everything from startups like Descript, which are one of the more well-known ones, and others like Veed and Capsule that I think people are getting to know. Capsule is a great tool, uses AI to allow multiple people to edit the video simultaneously, right? So we're all sort of tackling different aspects of this industry to, but what I think comes out of it is like options, right? We moved from a world where there was sort of like one option, which is hire video people at, $60 an hour starting point, right? Now that's still an option. And I don't think that industry will go down in the slightest, because the demand for production quality video will never go away. But what we're going to introduce is this whole new layer for everybody else to play with as well. And I think that's just so exciting.
That's awesome. So those three parts in the Maslow, what is the foundation? Like, what is the...
Well, I think they're really three different worlds. If I'm being really blunt, I think they're three different worlds. Like one, because you could sort of say like, it's almost like comparing Midjourney to Canva, right? Like they both let you make images, but they have such different use cases. So I think generating video, creating video stories, and video editing tools are sort of three different segments. And then I guess the way I look at them is sort of the maturity of each of those. And I think where we are is probably the most kind of market ready set of tools that do things for users. So there's auto subtitle your video, there's auto green screen your video, there's auto I said subtitle. Now there's people doing things that help you find automatic highlights of your video, which is a feature we'll be adding too, because everybody wants it, right? If you have an hour of B-roll and you say like, turn this into 30 seconds for me, that's pretty cool. And so a bunch of companies doing that. Opus is probably the one most people have heard of. So, they each have sort of their own maturity states. Yep. And I guess I would say that the generative side is the most still in the labs tech, and the other side is sort of the most in production tech.
That's awesome. That's a great map. I hadn't thought of it that way, so thank you.
Cool. I'm happy to help.
Well, I think we're going to wrap up with your call to action. How can we all help? Do you want beta testers or users, or what can we do?
Shameless plug then, augixlabs.com. Try the product. It's called Meet Augie. We're nearing the end of our beta program. It's open and free to use. Our premium version will come shortly. And also, while I'm at it, if you have an Airbnb, go to videomylisting.com. One click, turn your Airbnb listing into a narrated video that you can market your property with. So what I'd love is feedback on these things. They're free to use. Try them out. What are we doing great? What aren't we doing great? What are we so close to making your magic product? And we'll go build it. Just reach us on Discord, reach us on LinkedIn. I'm mostly off the Twitter at this point, but you can find me if you need to.
Well, I will attest. I've made a Augie video. It was incredibly fast, and I've tested like so many of the landscape that you mentioned, and sometimes it's really hard to extract value or to extract that one clip. So for me and your product, it was just like done so easy.
Thank you for saying that. That makes me feel great. We want people to feel like, oh, I can do something, and it's at the very worst good enough for my needs, right? Maybe it's not Spielberg, but like if I made it easy for you, then that makes me feel great.
Yeah, because a lot of people, I think they are afraid of AI products that like they can't figure it out. And it's really frustrating when you have to like go to a Discord or like, figure out like the support video. And so for your product, it was just like one and done. It was so easy.
Awesome.
Yeah. And if you're fearless, no fear. Well, I think we'll close on subscribe to my Substack. And looking for more speakers on #AI video. I think that's it. So Jeremy, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate having the floor here. It was great to chat. I loved your questions.
Oh, well, thanks for answering them. And let's stay on this stream. We'll think about like a clip for that nugget of insight that you want to promote. And then we'll say goodbye to everyone else for now. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.